working. All right, I clicked on it. Well, I see my face.
Ready? Okay.
I am. That thing always makes noises when we're in here.
Yes, I got it cracking
on your video
too. A little bit. There's this crack from the light.
And you're like, oh, okay, people.
Middle of my talkings.
Don't panic. It's just me. It's just our light.
Yeah. What the? Wow.
Beth says, hi, Siofra, how are you? Hi, Beth. Welcome. Better. Well, I mean, I got my eye thing done. It's still a little gritty, but that's to be expected. But I can definitely tell the difference in colors. Jono, hi, Jono, how are you? Haven't seen you in a while. And is apparently talking to himself. About ready to send everybody a message. That says, hi, Ian. Hi, chat. Ian says, blessed be everyone and welcome. Excuse me.
I had to retype it 3 times.
Your fingers weren't working?
Well, the first time I did some accidental paste thing, and I got something saved from the clipboard in there, so I had to delete that. Some Linux commands.
I don't think that would work on a YouTube channel.
Oh,
it would look very strange. People would go like, what is that? The mystery.
And I put it in a message. That's what popped up. Tried to type my first message.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and repeat that. That is a command code for Linux.
Yep.
Carla says, hi, Siofra and Ian. How was your week? Siofra, all your amazing creations. So happy your eye surgery was a success. Yes, it was. And I just realized that there was one tree I didn't get up. So I got to go do that after the show. Teresa says, hi, where's the time gone? I know. It's like they changed the time zone on us. It went poof. We lost an hour. It just sort of vanished somewhere in the nether regions at 2 o'clock in this morning. Went from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. like that. Bam. And we're a little off kilter because we forgot to turn on the heat until, 20 minutes ago? At least it's not too cold today.
It's not too bad.
It's not too bad. So, yeah. It's been entertaining. Life. Life is what happens while you're doing other stuff. I guess that's the way it works. How's everybody else doing? Carla says, please let me thank you so much for that extra energy on the second. You're welcome. I don't know if anyone else in the group sent you energy. We didn't talk about it, but I did because you said you weren't feeling well. So it seemed like a no-brainer.
Trying to start one of your videos.
Oh, good. In the background.
Yes.
Croc says, hello all. Hi, Croc. Teresa says, my life has been busy these past few days. And Robert says, hello all. Hi, Robert. And Robert says, magnetic pole shift, according to many, will disturb sleep patterns and mental abilities. I think the time change is more to blame. And then getting eye surgery, for me personally. I tried using the, I have my own eye patch that I used the first night. But then I put it on too soon, and it was weird. It was like, because covering the eye completely, it doesn't have any holes in it. And the one they gave me has holes in it. The second night, I tried the one with the holes in it and put the tape on. But then it got into a part of my skull with a little bitty hairs and started to bother me in the middle of the night, and I tore it off. So last night I went back to my own eye patch for sleeping, and I didn't put it on until I was ready to turn off the light, so I didn't get the, what the heck is going on? My depth perception is non-existent right now kind of effect. So, yeah, it was a little bit interesting. Beth says it's getting chilly here. Everything is blooming. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of blooming stuff too. All of our, is it the plum trees that bloom first? I noticed that they're all blooming right now.
Roses
yeah. Pixie says, hi everyone. Hi, Pixie. Now Venus says, love the blue knit. Thank you. I decided I made this. And I wore this so that in case it was cold in here, I would have something on my shoulders. I was getting ready to put it away for the summer, but didn't. Robert says, hello, Beth. You are my favorite. Glad you're here. Croc says, oops, I forgot all about the time change. No wonder nothing is making sense this far. Yeah. They went and did it to us. Robert says, Siofra, this weekend I wore a white t-shirt and my energy got snatched. From now on, it's 100% black clothes. Whatever works for you. What was it that woman who called herself Sister Amata wore all white for purity? She was a bitch. She tried to enter my chakras when we first met and infringe upon my energy shield by putting her hand on my back and running down my spine, which didn't work, of course, because I have more control over my energy than the average person. But I was pretty annoyed by that. Beth says, my husband did real good after his eye surgery. I think we're much more sensitive. Yeah, well, it all depends. I kept getting yelled at because apparently my head was trying to turn to the right, which I don't remember trying to do at all. And they had me strapped in pretty well. There were certainly lots of interesting lights in my eye. So that was all right. Teresa said, I found a fully insulated shed with a built-in bed, electrical outlets that could be used in winter. Small, 8x8, but functional. Cool. Beth says, be right back. My daughter's texting me. All right, say hi to your daughter. Teresa says, guest house and a place to work on pottery. That's awesome. Carla says, oh gosh, yes, the seasons are changing. We went, I'm thinking harping rather than herping last night to document. I don't know. Maybe it is something else. And move all the newts, peepers, salamanders, and turtles to where they were going. It was awesome. Okay, so I don't know what herping is.
Yeah, I haven't heard that term.
Beth says, Robert, you're mine as well. Robert says, hearts, Beth. Teresa says, one of the kittens has been successfully rehired, I think rehomed, and I have a home lined up for the male. Mama is now a part of my family, and she gets along with all my other cats. I figured that out, yes. Robert says they anticipate wind patterns that will different in weather also because of that magnetic crap. We must be very patient on Earth. Well, it's always shifting. I mean, I saw a map of where it's been going over the last numbers of centuries and so forth. Right now, it's actually closer to the physical North Pole than it's been in a while. So I was kind of surprised because I thought it was down in Russia. So it wandered back, maybe? Something like that. But anyway. So yeah, having fun. Fun and games. I do have eye drops to help when my eye gets dry, and I've been good about not rubbing it. And we got new mats for the bunny. I picked up some hay mats that they use for beaches and got the floor all picked up and everything and put the mats down on top of our rug to help preserve it a little bit. And he has already made some holes in the mat, so but he really likes it. He was very happy with his new space because there was not as much clutter because he had not rearranged everything yet, and has been happy with the bed I made him. So that was kind of fun to watch him do that. Robert says, Siofra, on your side, any top news? Did you see the British Columbia video about a fae that was filmed? That was funny. We have those in our backyard. Yep. We get them on our camera all the time. I thought that was pretty cute that his granddaughter was excited about it. He was, he didn't really think it was an actual fairy, but it's amazing that particular fly, I think it's a mayfly, the way they work their wings and the length of their legs and everything, they look like little humans in infrared, especially. The fae was about 6 to 9 inches wide, not counting the wings. Yeah, wasn't a fae though. Beth says, hope I didn't miss much. You missed us talking about the fae that wasn't there, the video out of British Columbia. If that's a fae, we've got tons of videos for everyone to watch. Robert says, Siofra, I made a wand with black onyx and shungite combo, very effective to drive away cold winds in a room where those astral parasites try something. Cool. Sounds like a good combination. IB Knit, where can I learn about defensive magic? Which entity can help me with protection and healing? Well, there's a lot of entities or spirits or deities or whatever that can help you with that. But I have a whole bunch of videos. Look under Psychic Self-Defense, and I've got a playlist. Find the playlist of Psychic Self-Defense. It's got a whole bunch of stuff in there. You do the work yourself. You figure out how to control your own energy and defend yourself from other people's energy. You also have to do the personal work to get rid of your own projections, working with your shadow self, your own thought forms and things like that we all accumulate as we live and get attached to things or what have you. So there's always a lot of work to do, but the tools are there, just have to do the work. As far as off the top of my head, I mean, we have the Garuda decided to protect our group when we were getting attacked. So, deities can step in and decide they want to give you a hand and do a little research and see what connects to you or what you connect with. Combination of both, and see what that is. But looking through that list, you'll find some passive stuff you can do to protect your household, your environment, putting up wards and so forth, and then learning how to do your own shielding and your own personal defenses and become more aware of that stuff on your end. Because in the end, it becomes each one of us has to figure that out. Robert says, really? Phase in your backyard? Can you post one on your website? Well, we don't keep track of them because we get them almost every day, and they're not fae. They're flies, really big ones. And Carla says, wind patterns are wild. Tornado touched down in Michigan yesterday, and half of Pennsylvania was under a tornado watch. Yeah, I saw some of the videos, like, OMG, that was something else. IBNet says, thank you, you're welcome. And if you have specific questions, you can send me an email, siofrasmagicalcove@gmail.com. And I put out a fairly recent video, which is what I offer and what I can do. And I think I put some of the links to those things in that video. So you can check that out too. And get an idea of our community and what we're about. Croc says, yikes, Carla. Ferno Live. Dear Siofra, how do I attract a fairy knight to me? I'm feeling lonely. I don't recommend trying to attract a fairy knight because you're feeling lonely. What you need to do is learn that there's a difference between being lonely and being alone. So you do the work to realize that being alone doesn't actually mean alone in the sense of human companionship or some other to reflect off of. Doesn't have to mean that you are lonely. So I would spend more time in nature and start to connect with the other energy, especially if you want to interact with a fae to start with. You need to actually be in their environment, be out in their world, and connect your energy to plants and animals and so forth. It's like, not like it is in the movies. So, yeah. I'm sorry if you're lonely, but get a pet. We have a cat and a rabbit. Some people have dogs and birds, and there's all kinds of different kinds of pets out there, and they can help that feeling too.
I see. Herping must be herpetologists.
Ah, I see.
Carla
says, oh, we were with herpetologists. They document amphibians in protected sites and help them get off the road since it's open to the public. Yeah, I saw some of your pictures. I thought they were kind of interesting. Robert says, a fairy knight? Yeah, that's a myth, I think. They really don't have those kinds of things in, the fairy kingdom. That's just some stories that humans have made up about them and to romanticize the whole process, but not really accurate. This is Robert, they're everywhere in my yard. Verno says, dear Siofra, how can I attract a fairy? You already did that. Robert says, Beth, I must live in a twilight zone, Never had a chance to see that up close with such in your face. Do you have a website, Beth? Perhaps you can post that. Carla says, Crockett was crazy. We got the remnants of the rain passing through. The high winds. Beth says, honey, loneliness will pass. Mine used to be hormones. I love my alone time. Yeah, no kidding. When I lived up north in the middle of the bush for about 5 years all told, I really discovered that being by myself was an unusual and interesting experience because I'd never lived alone up until that point. It wasn't all 5 years because I was with different people at different times, but getting acquainted with yourself is a process. You just discover a lot of things about who you are when you're not always trying to please someone else's version of who you are or trying to get them to reflect back what you're looking for so you can see people as actual individuals and life as actual reality instead of a bunch of our personal projections. That is mental health. So you need to do that. Robert says, Beth, I understand you must not be alone often. Having a family is time consuming. Vern says, I have a pet. Good. And thank Beth. You're welcome. From Beth. It's like, Beth says, I don't have a website. I have a relationship with them. We love each other. Yeah, same here. They haven't visited me recently, but then my eye has been taking up my energy, the healing part. So I have to wait till next month before I get the second one done. Carla says, thanks, Siofra. Seeing them out in the tundras like that on their own turf was something to see. We're looking forward to the next time. Yes, and hopefully everyone knows you should not eat a salamander. Believe it or not, there was a young man here in Oregon who died camping with his friends because they dared him to eat a salamander, and he took the dare and swallowed it, and it killed him because they're very toxic to people. I don't know why anyone would want to try and eat a salamander. It seems completely and totally stupid to me. Like, not food. So, but yeah. Just so you know. Robert says, wow, I wonder if other mythical creatures exist in the real now. Well, I think a fair number of them might exist, but they're still not in physical reality. They're mostly in an energetic shift beyond our physical reality. And of course, they exist in the astral because, and as thought forms in the mental plane, is all of that stuff, anything you can imagine exists there, and that doesn't mean that they're going to manifest down. Beth says, my kids and grandson are grown, but I love cooking for them, feeding them from my garden. Yeah, certainly learning about your own ecosystem is interesting. One of the things you need to do for yourself is to try to let go of expectations of what it is that you need in general. Because as long as you're looking outward to try and find something to fill a void, it's not going to work. Because nothing can fill the void in you. Only you can close that door to the void, fill it yourself. It's annoying, but true. Female says, I will mail you Siofra so we can talk more. Teresa says, a few weeks ago you were talking about not holding energy in your heart chakra. Can you explain that again? What I think I was talking about was a person that I was very, I guess, attached to. I'd taken her into my heart. So, and then she abandoned us. And that was a very hard lesson for me on positive projection and being able to let go of that energy and heal from that hurt. So I'm not sure exactly what it is you're referring to. I mean, whenever you're in a relationship, a strong relationship energetically with someone, whether it's sexual or non-sexual, because this one certainly was not sexual, um, you make that kind of a link and connection with someone. Like that was the first thing when Ian and I met, was his heart energy was what attracted me to him initially.
I just happened to be lucky enough to be working on my heart chakra when I met her.
Yep, good timing.
Yep.
The other side was having a good time figuring that one out. But letting energy flow through you, it's like it's a part of your circulation, I guess. Fern says, "Happy Women's Day." Thank you.
By the way,
yes.
Just for your,
okay.
You can't see this. Robert Enlead's comment was held.
Or
I had to release it. All it says is, "I smell what Beth is cooking."
Boy, YouTube. Oh, hey, I got a phishing scam on my channel this morning. This really intense email comes through and says I have violated a copyright of another person's stuff on a live show, mind you, which I knew was not true. Talk about a crock. So I had to do a little bit of quick research and figure it out, because it's like, contact us within the next couple of days. Here's, find out what your solutions are for this problem and so forth. And I'm like, no, I'm not clicking on that link, whatever the heck that goes to, because I'm already suspicious. And I checked on our channel first, because they track that kind of stuff. If we accidentally violated someone's copyright, it would show up on our channel, and I looked and there was nothing there. Then I found a YouTube video talking about it, because a YouTuber in Germany got the same message. So he ended up making a video about what happened to him. So yeah, so any of you out there who might have a channel, there was a phishing scam going around, do not fall for it. And usually when there's a time pressure like that, that's what they're hoping for you to click on it right away, because they deactivate those links pretty quickly so that people can't find them. And there was some indication that it might have been coming from Russia, because he saw some Russian characters at one point when he was delving through the different links that he had. So that was interesting. Teresa says it has something to do with meditation. I can't remember exactly, but I didn't fully understand it. Well, when we're doing the tree meditation, you're pulling the energy, the divine light, life force energy down into your heart, and then you're breathing and the earth energy up through your heart and up to the top of your head, and then you're breathing all that around you, so you're releasing that energy into your own aura. So I don't know if that would be, you'll have to remember what it is or figure out what the question is before I can answer it, because sometimes things happen and I know the answer at the time, and then we move on to something else. And Beth says, it's my love magic. I'm a very faithful, nurturing kitchen witch. Noah says, oh wow, I'm happy to see you. I thought you would be taking a break to rest from the surgery. No, I'm doing pretty good. I've taken a break from working on other people this week. So I haven't worked on anyone but myself since I went into surgery early Wednesday morning. And then had to go back Thursday morning to have him look at it and say everything looked good. And so I've been just, trying to take care of me and not bending over or not rubbing my eye or, remembering those things. So not hauling tables around and so forth. But yeah, it's fine. Beth says, oh my God, I'm in a live where people talk like sailors and they never get in trouble. Well, maybe that channel has a different rating. I don't know. Or it's just YouTube. Fern says, thank you, Siofra. It's a stunning name. Diana says, I bought some land that has a nice sized woods with a small clearing in the middle for an altar ritual area. How do I consecrate this space for magical use? Okay, so first make yourself an altar and treat it as a sacred space whenever you're out there. You can dedicate it through the elements and the directions. So depending on what your style of magic might be, but make sure that you can draw yourself a circle and activate the energy that way. You probably, I don't know that you would want to leave it like active all the time. So, but use will consecrate the land anyway. You just stand there as you make your magic circle and talk to the spirits of the woods and tell them, make a statement. You tell them, I am dedicating this part of my property to magical purposes, and positive beings are invited to attend and assist where they see fit, with permission or something like that. And then using it, if you have a little altar, that helps, because then you can go out once a week or every day, however you want to do it, and put something on the altar. You can keep a bowl of water there and refresh it. If you put a bowl of water outside in the woods, you're going to get animals up on it, though, so you might want to think about that and just have something to represent it. But things that are important to you, personal items, if you're not worried about having a raccoon steal, perhaps. So natural objects. That's what I would do anyway. And you could even, if you have some good-sized stones, you can make a permanent circle with stones, and that'll energize it too. Sort of like some of the old stone circles that they find around the world. One of the ways that you do that. Sit in the center, meditate, raise energy. It's like usage. Robert says, sorry, I perhaps missed the answer. Did you see UFOs or men in black or black-eyed children? I'm not sure who you're asking that of. Oh, it says hearts. Teresa says, at Diana, that sounds awesome. Diana says, I'm an eclectic witch. Max said something and retracted it. Hi, Max.
Retracted.
Oh, what it says here, it says message retracted. Okay, and another one. So are you doing that? Are they going to be allowed to stay? Because I can't see what they're doing.
Trying to advertise.
No advertising, Max Paula T. Advertise one more time, Ian will block you from the channel. It says, I'm not just a kitchen witch, but healing others, working in nature, crystals, and natural abilities is a part of me when you're born this way. Yeah, no kidding. Max says, that is an ad again. That's before I said it, though. Diana says, what's the best way to honor all of the trees? You deleted Beth's. That was an accident.
Yes, how do we undo that?
View deleted message. Sorry, Beth. He was trying to go for something else.
Well, I think she's probably stuck now.
There it is. I'm not just a kitchen witch, but healing others, working in nature. I already read that one, so it sort of showed back up-ish. Sorry, Beth. And how's the best way to honor all the trees? Talk to them. I found out that there's a lot of trees that really like crystals. And so that would be a way for you to do that. You could pick a crystal that's appropriate, or just use like quartz, which is kind of universal kind of crystal you can use for almost anything.
Well, I wish I could undo Beth's.
It sort of undid there.
Well, I don't think she can get on and talk now. Accidentally booted off our live.
Okay.
And I don't seem to be able to do anything about it. Oh well. I'll have to apologize to Beth later.
Okay, I'm sorry, Beth. Everyone's laughing now. Yeah, so you can pick like I said, appropriate for a direction or an element, and then plant the crystal at the base of a tree to interact with the spirit of the tree. That'd be one way of doing it. Teresa says, I have an area on my land that I would like to place a grotto in, but I would need help hauling all the rocks and cutting pathways through the tall grass. Very primitive message.
That sucks. I had the right person highlighted. It must have shifted.
Beth says, very eclectic. I could see the message. But she's sort of still-ish there.
No, that was before she was timed out. It took a moment.
Okay, sorry. You might be able to go into the settings and unblock her. You have to go to the home page, though, so we'll probably deal with that later. Noah said, Robert says, I was asking you, Siofra. Well, that was about UFOs and what? Children with black eyes, and I've never seen one of them, the black-eyed children. I have had a UFO encounter, but I tend not to talk about it on the channel because that's kind of off the subject of magic, which is what we're here for.
And basically, I've had no experiences of any sort of that sort, so.
Noah says, I have a question about the sacred tree meditation. When you mention different points on the body, they supposedly correspond to the chakras, right? The third one sounds like Hora, and I'm confused. It's the Hara, H-A-R-A, and that is the original solar plexus, what they now call the solar plexus. They have up here, above, the solar plexus is up here, but the Hara is the original center point of your body, and it's just below your belly button by about 2 finger widths, however your fingers are. And that would be in...
the Hara is basically Chinese or Japanese, one of the two. I think it's Japanese, yeah. Of course, that's why Harakiri is stabbing a sword to that point.
Right.
So Hara is the Japanese term for that, but the rest of the chakras are usually all in the Indian terms. So in the Indian terms, that one would be the Manipura.
It's just the New Age system decided to put it up here and use this instead of the original spot, which is down here. So when we're doing the sacred tree meditation, we want to activate that center, which is a stronger center actually than the solar plexus. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, basically the Hara and the Manipura, which is the Indian term for it, are the same spot. 2 different systems, the same chakra basically.
Right, but not the solar plexus. There's considered a minor chakra in most of the ancient systems of chakras. I don't know why they decided, maybe they just like the name or something. I don't know, but you know. Teresa says, I find that just talking to trees is a good way to connect. They all have their own personalities, get to know them by tuning in. Yep, Pixie says, my tree friends like when I sing to them and give apple offerings. They do like crystal gifts as well. Yeah. Robert says, that quartz crystal, does it have to actually touch the tree? Well, I would put it at the base of the tree. I mean, if you're going to give it to the tree, you want the tree to feel it, right? You can bury it in the ground in its roots, or put it on top of the ground at the trunk so it knows it's for it and not take it back if you give it to it. It would not like that. Or you could make it into a bauble and hang it in the tree, which apparently some of them really like a lot. There was the willow tree that I made into my water wand. I gave it an offering of a piece of blue lace agate because I was going to use that for my water wand and I wanted to connect that to the tree. And it liked it so much it started demanding from the person who owned the property that she hang more crystals in its branches, and she did not know where that came from originally. Then the other trees got jealous and wanted some too. So be prepared. You might start a trend. No, it says, ooh, I see, cool. So Manipura doesn't exist. No, Manipura does exist. It's the solar plexus. It does exist too.
What they have done, the rainbow chakra ones, that's where they use like the green for the heart chakra, which is the anahata. They've moved the chakras up, so instead of using the Manipura, which is below the navel by 2 fingers, they move that up to the solar plexus, which is actually considered, the solar plexus chakra is considered to be a secondary chakra and not one of the main ones. So from there, then the colors get confused. So um,
We're not doing colors in the tree meditation, though. So you don't
No.
have to worry about the colors at this point for that. Just where it is. And the idea is you're breathing into the chakra to activate it.
yeah, so, well, yeah. So the Manipura one does exist, though.
Ron says, hello and many bright blessings to all. You are loved. Remember that. Thank you, Ron. Teresa says, I get intense energy in my solar plexus, so like to use that center. Yeah, that center, however, is the one that causes a lot of confusion with anger, and too much focus on it.
Well, yeah,
without clearing it out is not helpful. It's sort of
specific chakras have a specific effect, and if you focus on a different one, it's just going to have a different effect.
Yeah. But it is the minor chakra compared to the Hara Manipura. You might want to try that and see if you have any. Maybe that one's shut down and you need to open it. I don't know. Dixie says the tree I find do have different personalities. Some on my land are dragon trees, some are portals, some fairy tree, some guardians of the ley lines. There are beautiful beings.
Well, it looks like there's no way. I was looking to see if I can untime out Beth, but it's not looking like there's any way to do that.
Well, there is a listing under there under blocked users. If you go into there, you might be able to unblock her. I don't know exactly from that menu exactly where you find them. Right there. Was that it?
Drivers.
No, never mind. I'll figure it out later. And we'll apologize to Beth. Carla says, we went for our first ride in the hollows earlier today, and I talked to my favorite weeping willow. Cool. This is my weeping willow now. I made. Isn't that awesome? In fact, I still apparently have one to get up on my website. I've got all my trees now but one up on my Etsy site. So if you guys wanted to buy them, you can. And this is a piece of aquamarine and blue sapphire beads for this. And I turned it into a weeping willow. So I think I did a pretty good job with that. I can't see for sure exactly what it looks like at this point, but
that really sucks. That's the first time I think I've accidentally knocked the wrong person off.
Rock says, sounds amazing, Carla. Ron says, as always, I got to ask, what is the necklace? Apparently I answered that before I saw the question. Diana says, when the builders for my house clear-cut the land, they pulled up huge pieces of clear quartz everywhere in my front yard. What can I use them for? Whatever you want. That's awesome. Melissa says, hello today. Hi, Melissa. Ron says, laugh out loud. You answered before I asked. Yes, this is me and my passive telepathy gift. I do this a lot automatically. Rock says, I'm going to go broke with all those trees you posted on Etsy. I'm sorry. But I'm having fun. Right now I'm working on a, it's not a tourmaline, it's a, I always think it's a tourmaline first. What is it? Fluorite. I'm working on a slab of fluorite, turning that into a tree as a backing. I'm having fun finding things to put trees on. I made them, I gave them their own listing, so you just go to the website and you look for Tree of Life pendants, and all the ones that I got up today are there. And you don't have to buy them if you don't want to. Someone said they wanted to buy one of them, and I told her what the cost was and then never heard back from her. So I assumed she decided that it was too expensive for what she wanted it for. And so that one's up there too. She was interested in the obsidian with the ruby crystal ruby beads on it. I got two with ruby beads and sapphire. Right now, the one I'm currently working on has sunstone beads. That's the one with the fluorite. So, yeah, kind of interesting combining the different stones together. Noah says, is a small crystal okay for a large tree? Yeah, any size is fine. I don't think that the tree actually cares. Carla says, it's beautiful, Siofra. Croc, it was such a long, cold winter. It felt great to get out and see it starting to green up. Beautiful blue skies. Ron says, by the way, how are your eyes today? This is the one that got the surgery, and it's doing fine. I see the eye doctor, I think, next week, not this coming week, but the week after, to have it checked again or something. Maybe it's 2 weeks. I can't remember. I'd have to look at my calendar. But he looked at it the day after and said everything looked good. And it gets tired sometimes, but I'm really noticing the difference in hue, the tone of the things I look at. It's like much brighter with this eye. And if I cover this eye, colors change into a darker version of themselves, so the cataract interferes with color perception because it's blocking out enough light, I guess. So it's kind of interesting. Teresa says, I'm on your Etsy site. Very nice trees and wands. Yeah, I just made 2 more new wands, but I don't have them up. I'm making things, putting them together. But yes, I like making magic stuff. The person that's making the goblets hasn't finished the 2 that he started, apparently started a 3rd, so he's a slow artist when it comes to getting things to me. But once I get them, then I can take pictures of them and put them up. Because I thought it'd be kind of cool to have his stuff, since he lives with my daughter. So he's like extended family. And why not promote some of his art? He does a lot of resin stuff. It'll look pretty cool. But that's the future. Oh, it's getting warm enough in here. I can take off my shawl. Yay. Great healing colors you are wearing. Did you intend that? Well, I'm always intending to heal. And when I put this up, it's like the lunar energy and the healing energy and all the other stuff associated with the aquamarine and the sapphires. Just cool. And I wanted it to be able to be seen. So I also have some aquamarine beads, but I didn't put them on this because I wanted a contrast in the colors so they didn't like disappear in the piece. So I went for the sapphire. So I'm glad I found a place where I can buy these really nice, small, faceted beads and put them in my work. So, yeah, exploring the possibilities of this art form. But thank you. I like color, and purple is my favorite. She could potentially come back in a different name. She'd have to get a different account and do it. She probably decided to go feed her cats.
Yeah, bummer.
I'm sorry, we had someone. Oh, I also had a message from someone this week who was praying that I would go back to Jesus and take him into my heart. So at least it was short. It's only 2 lines. So I hid the channel from her so she can't wish me well anymore. Diana says, does it matter which kind of gemstone I gift to each individual tree? That's why I was saying you can use whatever feels right. If you're going to do it as a circle, it's a good idea to either do all quartz or to do specific crystals for the element that you want the tree to represent, or that part of your circle to represent. So like for my bath, for example, I have a natural citrine for air. I have a zoisite, which is a ruby crystal for fire. I have an aquamarine for water, and I have a quartz that the gnomes had a mole dig up and put on top of our yard for earth. And of course, I do the 5th direction, which is an amethyst crystal for that, because I'm using the pentagram. But think about what associations you have, learn more about the crystals and what's appropriate. If you're going to be setting up like permanent wards, it's a good idea to do it with intention and not just random that doesn't make a sense to you. I'm very eclectic myself, but I like to have a certain amount of structure. being an eclectic doesn't mean you can't do structure. It just means you can borrow structure from other places. So you have to figure out your own brain and what your associations are and so forth, but make it meaningful and not just whatever you happen to have on hand. And do it intentionally. Well, it says, it definitely seems as if energies are shifting in a better direction. I noticed it today, first thing, and it's different from the seasonal change. I hope so. Teresa says, or you can give an offering of fertilizer to the tree. Yeah, give it something it needs. Carla says, I use tobacco as an offering at trees. That only works well if you're actually a tobacco user. As far as the spirits are concerned, it needs to have a connection to the person on a spiritual, mental level. So, Diana says, thank you for helping me. You're welcome. Hopefully I am. Hope, yes. Anyway. Now it says, people say the New Age community that astrology shows this week to be very faded and special for karmic release, like old patterns, etc. You think it could be possible? In your own personal path, anytime you can get rid of old karmic stuff is a good time. And it's too general for it to be true for everybody. I mean, think about it. We're always learning and growing. And so a karmic release is what? Making up for things you've done in the past, making amends, changing your patterns of behavior, which is shadow work, personal work, psychology, and whatnot. I mean, it can help, maybe, the energies that are there, people can tap into and assist what they're doing, but it's not going to happen without effort on your own part.
Yeah, at the most, astrology can offer an idea when the tides are right, to use a phrase,
Yep.
to do something. So it may be potentially easier to accomplish that at that time by a certain small amount, but astrological stuff on its own, just by itself, doesn't make that much of an influence. If you work with it magically, of course, you increase that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's correct. It's like figuring out what the tides are, energetically speaking, and what changes in energy flow will help you with what you want to do. So, Carla says, I mixed something in with the tobacco that does have meaning. Okay. Not Queen says, and self-examination. Always. That should be a constant, not just depending on what the planets are up to. Becoming self-aware requires self-examination. Paying attention to what's going on in your own subconscious. What's happening in your dreams and what they might mean. What your subconscious is trying to do or undo or, yeah. Block. You're going to be in control of your own destiny, spiritual practice, then self-awareness is a requirement. So you can make conscious choices instead of being externally moved around on the chessboard by energies that you don't know what they are and why they're doing it. And you're just reacting to shifts in circumstances rather than making an actual conscious step in a direction you want to go. And being able to stop when the direction's being blocked and figure out what's going on so you can find your way around to get where you want to be. So. Carla says, numerology, astrology magically is pointing to threes. Someone mentioned for women to scream at 3:33 a.m. or p.m. daily. It breaks holds and moves what needs moved. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me. I don't do numerology, and I don't like being told what to do and when to do it. If I need to scream, I will, whenever I feel like it. And definitely screaming can be cathartic. Melissa says, do you know anything about the geometry that is associated with magic? That would be what, Paul Foster Case and gematria and all that stuff?
Yeah, there's a sacred geometry in the churches and things, but
I hate math.
yeah, the only thing that I would say that I use that would correspond to that certain extent would be the planetary figures, planetary seals. So, like, if you wanted to indicate Venus by a seven-pointed star, or
Mars by a 5-pointed star.
yeah, Mercury by an octagon or an octagram, depending whether you want points or edges. So that type of thing. Five could be a pentagram or a pentagon. Either one works. So just that much connection with geometry is all I know about. Just association with the planets that way. Three being a triangle, of course. So there's your Saturn.
That would be threes.
Yes.
Carla says, I think it's to be building an energy form. That's how I look at it. But you know me, I'm full of rage and it sounds delicious. Well, I like doing the rock and feeding it back to the earth. So, but whatever floats. Noah says, do you have any insight into what's really happening when people have spiritual experiences? For example, when a deity comes to them, when they feel a powerful, loving presence, they're having a spiritual experience and a deity is coming to them and giving them a powerful, loving presence. I'm not sure what the question is.
Yeah, I mean, there's
They're awakening
and,
to the
and,
fact that we're not the only thing in town. We're not the only game on the block.
and there are many kinds of spiritual experiences. Besides that, there's lots of mystical experiences that have been documented at certain stages. Certain mystical experience and visions that are required at certain types of meditations. Meditating on your third eye gives one kind, and
Yeah, I had a
so
tree
many.
give me an amazing experience, and it was like life changing when the tree comforted me when I was in a very depressed and hopeless kind of state. It helped me know that there were other forms of consciousness out there that weren't human. That was a huge relief because humans have not ever made much sense to me.
But it can be those kind of experiences can be mystical experiences. They can be caused by Kundalini. They can be caused by spirits. There's all kinds of things that can cause them too. So
Yeah.
yeah, not an easy one
And
to
see,
answer.
the question comes is like, if you never experienced an actual deity presenting itself to you, the first time it happens, it's a shock. Because a lot of people think that this is just in someone else's imagination, that they're not actually real, that they're projections or thought forms or what have you. Oh, thank you, Not Queen.
Thank you.
And and so it's a when you actually do have an encounter with something that is clearly outside of you and not created by other human consciousnesses and unconscious and all that other stuff, it's a interesting wake up call, and you start looking at things a little bit differently. But that is hard to describe, and people use the only words they know how to describe what's happening to them. We don't have a language base for a lot of these experiences, so they're all approximations. Like when I was visited by Argus, the beast with the 100 eyes, and he looked at me into every part of my subconscious and every cobweb I had in my brain and so forth, and exposed them all to the light and had a look see. It's hard for me to explain what that was like, being looked at in such a way that I knew there was absolutely nothing that that being did not then know about me and everything that had ever happened to me and everything I'd ever done. There were zero secrets, and it was a spontaneous, out of the blue experience. I wasn't trying to connect, but when it does happen, some knowledge about who the being is comes with it. That's one of the ways you can start to tell the difference between a projection of your own, a thought form you've created or so forth, and the real deal. because the real deal has got a depth to it, an energy to it that you couldn't imagine on your own. And it has an impact that your own idea or thought wouldn't have. So, and this was without drugs, mind you, because I stopped doing drugs a long time ago. So it wasn't that kind of an influence. It wasn't on something that's supposed to give you an experience with a deity or anything like that. It just sort of happened at a workshop I was at. So it's like those of us who've encountered that, we know what we mean when we say that. And only other people who've encountered it know what we mean when we say that. But for those who haven't had that experiences yet, it sounds just like a story. And that's all it can be until you have your own experience. So, you know, there's a couple of us out there that talk about it here and there. And, you know, one of them says, yeah, they don't believe in the gods until they meet one. And then they'll change their mind. So, magic is real. Other forms of consciousness and awareness are real. They're independent of us. They may or may not have anything to do with us or what we're doing or what we think or what we want or what we say or how we act. They exist outside of us. They are not a part of us being projected into the world around us. That's a dangerous idea, to think that everything that you see and experience is just a projection of your own. It's not quite as dangerous, I don't think, as like the idea that we're living in a matrix and that not everyone you meet is a real person, therefore you can murder them and not have to worry about the consequences of that because they were like a computer-generated person that isn't real to start with. But it does have some of that component. And thinking that everything is us and that we're doing everything leads to hubris and a lot of ego problems, making us think we're more important than we are and more powerful than we are. Not that we aren't powerful, we are, but there's different kinds of powers out there. Melissa said, did you feel a sense of shame? No, I did not. I was very calm. I just felt a incredible sense of being looked at. Like, I didn't resist. There was no point. And I think resisting would have been the wrong reaction to that. No, it says, I had an experience with Kali, Mother Mary, and a tree, and I wonder if it's actually like astral entities or literally just something divine, or is it all the same in a way? Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about. Shay says, sorry, not going to make it today. Sunday greetings to all. Hi, bye, Shay. Carla says, I agree, Siofra. Dixie says, I heard you speak about another life when you dance and weave, where you dance and weave light, and seen this timeline and chose to come here to help. How do you feel with the harshness and the dense emotions here? Difficult. It's like, from the place where I was at and I saw that, some people called that hubris when I told the story to a group of other witches. But I didn't mean it as hubris. Like, I was also full of light and energy. I could fix things and I was going to come and fix this all. But, yeah. It's different being here versus seeing it from where I was before. So, like I said, I don't understand people a lot. There's a lot of things about humans I can't comprehend. And we went to 2 different doctor's appointments. I went to one appointment, I had to have an ultrasound, and when I mentioned Ian, the women who were in the room immediately assumed that we were having a difficult relationship and that we were probably fighting and said as much. And I told them no, that wasn't the kind of relationship we had. And then they didn't believe me initially, and then I had to like convince them that that wasn't the case. And then that same day we went to Ian's doctor, and we were talking about him needing to get a hearing test, and she quipped, yeah, it's just selective hearing. That's what's going on here, because he's tuning me out when he doesn't want to hear what I have to say. And we had to confront her with that too. It was very weird. So, like,
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it was like happened on the same day. It was a Tuesday, yeah. So
it's like everybody expects people to just fight all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
And if you're not fighting, you're not doing it right. And you see that in TV shows all the time too. Yes. They're married. They're gonna have conflict. Yeah. Like, that's just the way marriage works. It doesn't have to.
And it really doesn't.
It really doesn't have
ours
to.
Ours isn't that way at all.
And so, you know, it was it was interesting.
Yeah.
So I had to like actively reject what they were saying and try to impose the real reality that I experienced on the room, because they were all women. In the first one, there was a woman. Your doctor's also a woman, so it was like this weird expectation that this is just the way men are, and that's not necessarily true. That's the way a lot of men are, and some women as well. So it's like, this generalization kind of a thing. But it is kind of intense being here, and learning how to be here for my own reasons has been one of my challenges. Not feeling like I'm stuck in hell, living hell, being able to see the actual trees and life forms and stuff that are out there that belong here, and to recognize myself as part of that, that I belong here too. And it's humans have just gotten so away from being a part of nature and being connected to the world around them. I think that's probably where most of our problems arise. We don't have a foundation of safety and connection and acceptance and so forth of being who we are, and we look to other people that are fractured like we are to make up the difference, and it doesn't work well because they're in the same place. So that's where I'm coming from when it comes to that. I think if this is me trying to spread light in a world that is covered in darkness, is being authentic and being myself and being true to who I am, and not letting people try to persuade me that my life is something other than what it actually is, like the doctors and the technicians that we met that day. And so being strong in myself and knowing my own reality, and knowing when people are projecting, because they do it a lot. So anyway, hopefully I'm helping a few people here and there. But there's no way to know. You can't really save the whole world, one person. It's not possible. There's too many people, too many different agendas, too many kinds of lessons that people are trying to learn. Everyone is here for a different reason. So get with your own reason, I guess, and try and figure it out. Be the best person you can be. Jay says, sorry, not going. Oh, we did that. Carla says NPCs, yes, non-player characters. Diana says, I'm a single mom with 3 young children. That's quite a challenge. I was a single mom with 2 young children, and if I'd had a third, I wouldn't have been able to get away. Trixie says, how do you keep the faith? Renewing my presence in nature. And that's how. Looking outside of people. Ignoring what people think is really going on when it comes to the meaning of life, because they have all their ego stuff that they're trying to work through, and finding my own meaning. Like recognizing the beauty that's there. Like in nature everywhere. You don't have to go very far, just look out the window. You can encounter what real world life is supposed to be about. And, people will do or not do whatever they do. I sometimes joke with some of my friends, if we blow up the planet, I'll see you on another planet. Because we're spirits and we'll still be technically existing. Just won't have bodies to come back to, maybe. I don't know. So, Carla says, that's how it felt with Moida. Yeah, she's definitely one of the things that helps me too. Her view, long view. But that's the thing, it's like if you can have an overview of what's going on instead of being stuck in the weeds, it's like you can be stuck in the weeds with all the minutia, conflict, everyday stuff, things that are constantly in your face, trying to draw your attention, and get caught up in all those things and think of them as vitally important. And some of them, of course, are important as far as your own survival is concerned, and you need to make sure you're alive to do anything. But being able to take yourself, your mind out of those things and realize it's not about you. Most of the things that are happening to us are not about us. We're not generating this karma for ourselves in the way that most people think of it as. It's just life and the movement of all these things. And if you can get your mental view above what's happening and see it as just a part of a whole life that you're in, the importance of the moment goes down, which makes you more capable of having a response to the situation and fixing or solving a problem in the moment that you didn't see a way around because you were stuck in it too much. I think that's one way of putting it. And that's what Moida has. She has that overview. She's like, yeah, been that, done that, seen that. Okay, not a big deal. So Pixie says, thank you, I hear what you're saying. Teresa says, excuse me, but Teddy Bear wants a treat. Be right back. Melissa says, yes, I hear you, Siofra. Noah says, can Reiki heal an animal also? Absolutely. Animals love Reiki. Reiki can definitely help animals. I helped a horse that was dying in Spain with Reiki. I was really worried about that horse when I connected to it. And I'm like, oh, this horse is in bad shape. And then I was worried that it wasn't going to work. And then the horse got better, and then the horse got worse. And I thought, oh no, it's not going to work. And then the horse got better, and the horse is fine. So yay. Yeah, it didn't work on the cow that I did. The cow died. But that was because the vet came over and shot the cow. Kind of hard to recover from a gunshot. And also, it was one of those conditions because it ate so much grain that it was going to die a slow and horrible death. But yeah, it can definitely help. Carla says, that's perfect, Siofra. Thank you. Apparently, I was on a roll. Trying to be in the moment with you guys. That's the thing I like about the live show is that it, I try to be as present as possible during our live feed so that I'm bringing everything I have to the table and responding as well as possible. I don't take people's questions flippantly unless they're really stupid people and they let themselves be known and not listen. So, you know, it's like, okay, sorry. But I've had people get really surprised. They'll ask me something either in a comment on one of my videos or in an email or whatever, and a lot of them are like really surprised at the depth of my answers. That's because I figure if it's important enough for someone to spend the time to write me, I'm going to do my best job to answer it. That doesn't mean people are going to like what I have to say. And I find that happens fairly often. If somebody just wanted me to do something for them, and I send them the link to the video of what I do, haven't heard back, you know, which for me is like rudeness to not at least, you know, respond and say, I appreciate you giving me the response. It wasn't what I was looking for, so I'll look somewhere else, and that's fine by me. But yeah, Carla says, I sound like a broken record, but you guys are the bright spot of the week. You are so appreciated. Thank you. Noah says, we really appreciate it. I do. And I'm sure others do also. Thank you. Yeah, and, you know, we're all trying to figure it out. Melissa says, at Carla, I feel the same way. And, you know, Ian had a realization the other day. The realization itself doesn't matter, but the fact that he had a realization and then he wondered why it took him so long to have it. And that's the thing is we don't have those realizations, any realization, until we're actually ready to see it. And it's not a fault, you know, if you have a sudden realization, you realize, wow, that's been a really stupid thing I've been doing for the last 40 years. You don't go back 40 years and blame yourself and beat yourself up over the head for the fact that you didn't get it. You got it now, that's the important part. And then moving forward, you can change how you respond to things that happen in the future and not have to repeat whatever that was. So yeah. And we do that with a lot of stuff. We automatically are judging our younger selves constantly. It's very annoying. It's like, especially people, you know, who've been abused as children like me, and I know some of you as well. When you're starting to try and heal and remembering things and so forth, a lot of times we take our adult self that knows more and projects that understanding or knowledge onto our younger self who didn't have the opportunity to learn any of that yet, and then judge ourselves as not being worthy of being at fault somehow. We should have known better or whatever. The fact is, we didn't know better because we couldn't at the time. So try not to be so hard on yourselves. We're all in this together when it comes to that. Just trying to figure it out. And if we're hard on ourselves, it really makes it much more difficult. I'm a solution-oriented kind of individual when it comes down to it. So, not a blamer, but a solution person. I want to find ways to be better at whatever it is that's not working. Or realize that just doesn't work and I'm going to stop doing that. So, yay. So, Carla says, we all love you guys. And Croc says, much love. Heart, heart, heart. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do.
I mean, when we first started this channel, I had no idea if anyone was going to watch anything we had to say. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just put this out there and see if anyone finds any common ground, or if what I'm seeing is something that's worthwhile, that other people want to see more, or what have you. I just had no clue. It was just one day it popped in my head, and I thought, well, I guess I should do that. And I keep getting offers. My latest offer was for a snack food. They wanted to develop a relationship with our channel to sell their snack food. They didn't say that in the email, but I looked at the company and looked at what it was, and I thought, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're about more than that. We're about, trying to change ourselves and not sell products. Although I'm pretty proud of the stuff I'm making. You don't have to buy it, and that's fine. Rock says, regarding the other services you offer besides the Reiki, what does the spiritual guidance entail? Thanks. Well, we call it a mentorship program. You can give me a donation to have a one-on-one conversation over Zoom or Facebook Live or whatever. I guess it's just Facebook Messenger. And ask questions, and I'll give you my best answers. Or if you wanted to do more of a mentorship, then we would talk about exercises and talk about how they're affecting you. And a lot of times that particular program makes people uncomfortable, and they decide they don't want to do it anymore, which is fine. Or it's not working for them for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. Yeah. Watch that video. I go through all of that. Give as much detail about what it means as possible. But, when you're growing and you're actually trying to confront your shadow self or what have you, being uncomfortable is pretty much a given. You look at the things that make you uneasy and uncomfortable, and you figure out why. And when I went through the Insert Survivors group, they talked about the assumptions we had about what made the world work, our survival tactics that we used when we were being abused, because that was all about the abuse. And that was an interesting exercise. The things that got imprinted in my core personality matrix, or whatever you want to call it, that I was evil because bad things happened to me, there was something wrong with me, and all this other stuff. Identifying those core beliefs that are like so rooted in your subconscious, and then figuring out ways to challenge that belief to see if it's still true. Like, is it serving a purpose now? I mean, it served a purpose then. Being compliant, trying to figure out what my father wanted, trying to hide whatever, trying to be whatever other people wanted to be so that there would be less abuse, hopefully. Learning how to cry on cue, because I got tortured less if I cried. I learned that one. You got to identify what they are, and then find a way to challenge that belief to see if it really is a true thing, or it was just a survival tactic that you adopted because you were in a situation that required it. And that's often what makes people very uncomfortable, because they feel like if they uncover those things and eradicate them or get rid of them, they're not going to be themselves anymore. I can tell you that's not actually true. You become more yourself than ever. But yeah, uncovering your actual person that you are. But yeah, so like I said, not always comfortable. When I was trying to join the Wiccan Church, I was challenged significantly in my application. The guy that wrote me the letter was being belligerent and confrontational on purpose to see how I would respond. And I immediately knew what he was up to. And I responded as accurately as I could. And he was surprised and impressed. So it's all about learning. Not necessarily taking things personal. Carla says, I still remember the first video some random guy shared of yours in a group I was in. You were making a magic mirror and you spoke of blessing fluid, condenser fluid. And I knew immediately you were legit, faithfully following since. Thank you. And yeah, no flash, smoke and mirrors. I study cults for a reason. I don't want to become one. I'm very committed to not becoming a cult leader. I see the first signs of that, and it's like, bam, that's it. It's just like, nope, not going there. If I wanted to be a cult leader, I'd probably be making a lot of money. But I would not feel good about myself. I'm just amazed at how much money those people actually make off of the, confusion and sadness and loneliness of other people. The need for reason or what have you. Everybody's looking for, why am I here? What is my purpose? Where do I belong? What should I do? And the answer is live a good life the best you can, and be kind when you are able. And you don't really need anything more than that. Everything else will fall into place. Carla says, you're welcome. Yep, we're all human. There's a bunch of people trying to sink our boat right now, but I can swim. Learn how to swim. Apparently, we need to learn how to swim fast. Such a good lady. Well, thank you, Carla. Yep. That was one of the things I like to look at. Carla says, we shall stay afloat. Yeah, we have life vests. Right? Get your life vests on. Ready to tread water. I don't know how far can I go with this? We will not give up the ship. Have you had any experiences with galactic fairies? Pixie says. I don't think so. The Earth fairies. I mean, I know that there's like life forms on all the planets, and I've met them. I don't know if that's what you would think of as a galactic fairy. I mean, every planet has got its spiritual life forms, and I've had plenty of encounters with those, but I wouldn't call them fairies because they don't have life the same way as we have here, and our fairies are here for a very specific purpose, to feed this form of life. So I might use a different word to describe it rather than the word fairy. I don't know. Language. Carlos says, we will not give up the ship, and yes, we do.
Lots of smiley faces coming up on mine.
Maybe that's because of the type of, because I have the pop out, but it's not white, black. I don't know. Croc says, I can do paddle. Dog paddle. I can't do the doggy paddle. That's got to be the least effective form of swimming and staying afloat. I float so well. I can just lay on my back and bam, I float in a bathtub. That's how well I float. I got it from the Undines. They taught me how to swim and float. So I can make water thicker so it's more buoyant. It makes me more buoyant, and I can get lighter, so it works out pretty well at both ends. Oops. I gotta have that open in order to take a drink. Whatever we need to do. That's what we need to do. Melissa says, did you lose sound over there, or is it me? Well, I don't have sound over here, so I don't know. Carla says, our robins are back. I call them the husband and wife. And boy, is she ever round. I'm hoping they build in our tree again. Oh, lovely. I saw a brief thing on robins, and apparently the American robin is not the same kind of bird species as the European robin. The European robin is related to a different bird family. The American robin is related to the thrush. Just some random fact I ran across today, actually. I'm like, huh, okay. So we have our robins. They're running around doing their thing. So it says, I hear you guys on my end. Okay, so it must be Melissa on her computer. Because we're working for Carla. Since we don't hear you, I can't tell. So thank you, Carla, for letting us know. Our sound is working. Computers. Yep, I can hear me. I guess we could turn the sound up and find out. I just don't have it on mine. Ah, we've only got about 10 minutes. He's muted me now. Wonder what your doctor would say to that. Selective hearing, mute.
Yep.
Yeah. Funny.
Nice if they made remote controls for that. I'd use one for a cat.
Yes, Bugsy. His name is appropriate. He is Bugs you. He really wanted to sit on my lap just before we had to come in here, and I'm like, I don't have much time. He kept looking at my lap, like staring at my lap, and thinking about my lap. I'm like, okay, fine, you got 5 minutes. So he got on my lap. I let him sit there for a while, and then I got up.
But he is noisy when he wants attention. Meows and meows and meows.
Yep.
Yeah.
Melissa says the ex just called and messed it up. Arg. I'm sorry. Carla says the time flies by too quickly. Time is like that. And I'm sorry your ex called and messed it up, Melissa. Exes are like that too. It's probably why they're exes. They interfere with things. I was thinking about one of my exes the other day. when we were breaking up, I was getting ready to divorce him, leave him, or whatever. He had the confrontation one day, and he wanted to know, what is it that you want from me? And I told him, I said, I want you to find a woman that you can love and have a happy life. And then he did. So that worked out. It's like, I wanted him to not be by me because that wasn't working. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on in that. That was a relationship with a lot of fighting. I was constantly fighting with him because he kept trying to like control me, and I didn't like it. Generally speaking, I like to control myself, make my own decisions. Melissa says thank you. You're welcome. And that's the thing, figuring out who's compatible and who's not. You know, there was something else today we were just talking about that we had in common that was not usual. I have a lot of things like that. Yeah, it just came up in random conversation this morning when we were watching something. I don't even remember what it was now, but like, yeah, we have the stabs that are the same, of course, but something else. Oh, we were thinking the same thing, and you said it out loud.
Yeah, that happens.
That happens a lot. I say it out loud, or you say it out loud, because we think alike a lot. Sometimes I answer questions before he gets to ask them, like I did today with one of you guys. Like, I answered the question, and I did not know someone was going to ask until after I answered the question, and then they asked the question, and it was already done. Like, yeah, that was that. Yep, I'm glad we have these weekly chats.
Well, I guess all of our magical subject went away.
Well, we have your new video that's going to be coming out in the next couple of days. I have to download it and process it, get the closed captions and stuff like that, and put it up. He's starting on those. Be on Barden's book. Starting with the elements.
Well, I started with the overview, but
Overview.
yeah, I'll be taking the things basically in the order Barden presents them generally. Oh.
Melissa says planets. Carla says he's incarcerated, but I've been wondering what's up with him. Your ex? You have an ex too? We probably all have an ex somewhere. Ian even has an ex.
Talk about that.
Yeah. I don't know her name. That was before we met. My comment must not be showing. Okay. Carla says she made a comment. We got he's incarcerated, and I've been wondering what's up with him. Time flies by too quickly.
I didn't have anything to hold, so.
Try again. Melissa says laugh out loud.
Yeah, if something isn't coming through, it's got to be YouTube holding it.
Completely, not even letting you decide as moderator whether you should show it or not.
Well, they do that. Two of them. Brain's running like crazy.
Time change. You can blame it on Mercury and the time change. Anything that goes wrong today, we're going to blame it on Mercury and the time change. So we've got our our scapegoats. Carla says it's because of what he did to get incarcerated. Oh, okay. So can you say what he did to be incarcerated without making YouTube get rid of it? I mean, my first husband was in prison for rape, so he threw a flammable on top of the courthouse. Ah, arson. See, they can't block me because I'm the one that's talking. So far, anyway, I should say. Knock on wood. Three spirits, make sure they can't block me when I'm talking. Melissa says, what is the best for planets and charts? I have no idea. I don't do astrology. We have, plenty of magical books that talk about the planets and stuff like that. We've got videos on the major planets. I think I still need to do a couple of planets. I think Saturn I haven't done yet.
Yeah.
Which might be appropriate since they keep brought up the number 3 today.
But neither of us really do astrology at all. Just not our thing. I'm bad at math, and that's probably why I don't like it.
I don't like math either. And I've had my chart done a number of times, and it always comes out completely not me at all. So apparently I'm not my chart. Carla says, this was an ex from middle school, and I've been wondering about him lately. There is that book, that Everything You Ever Needed to Know About Astrology. I got that book once, and I didn't get through it, so it didn't work for me. Astrology made easy.
I took a test once. It was to find out how likely you are to be interested in mysticism, and this was over
at the college.
Yeah. I failed it. Said I wasn't going to be interested at all. Wouldn't like it. Magic and mysticism, and the teacher just looked at it, looked at my score, and she said, "That's obviously not right."
Some tests don't work well. Melissa says, you have evolved off the chart. Yeah, Carla says, we had always stayed friends, but I hadn't spoken to him for months before that happened. Well, good for you for being able to stay friends. I did not stay friends with either of my exes, or my third one, who's also an ex but never married legally. He's the one who dropped me off of Facebook and unfriended me because I had changed too much. The one who wrote all the books about Moida. Noah says, you are too advanced, Siofra. You have risen above astrology, probably. I think part of it is that I've remembered so many different lifetimes, and that kind of probably muddles the whole astrology thing. I mean, astrology might work well for some people if this is the only life they remember, and the only influence they have is the life that they're in. So that could be.
Not only that, but it depends a lot on astrology is say a push or a pull in a certain direction or something. But if a person is advanced enough for really having free will and stuff, you can just avoid those things if you've got your own passions and things under enough control. They indicate the influences, but the planets do not rule. They influence or suggest is more like it. Person might have a tendency to do certain things during a certain time, like always seem to have a tendency to work on technical stuff whenever Mercury is retrograde, which is exact opposite of the way it should be, but
the way, yeah, it seems to affect you that way as far as technology goes. But yeah, I mean, the thing is the other thing is like as a witch, one of the things that I see should be our power is to be in control of our own spiritual development. And taking charge of your own spiritual development means that you are not necessarily going to fall in line with the energies that are arrayed around you, whether they would affect other people in general or not. It's like charting your own course. So, yeah. Rox says, got to cut out early. Thanks for the chat today. Wishing you all love and blessings. Bye till next time. Kate. Love, Kate. Carla says, if I got the Moida books, would you be okay with that? I'd be fine with that. You're going to see a very different story about who I am from his perspective, but they're for sale. I don't get any royalties, but feel free. It doesn't bother me, but that's, yeah, I would be fine. Carla says, bye, Croc. And our time is now up. It's been an hour and 30 plus. So it's time for us all to say goodbye, including Croc. Already did that. But yeah, I think a couple of people have bought the books. And every so often somebody contacts me and says, are you the Siofra Bradigan from the Moida books? And I say, yes, I am. Carla says, I would love to read them, but want to make sure. Yeah, I don't control what other people do. You should know that, Carla. If you want to read them, it's entirely up to you. I would never stop you from reading anything. I had that happen where somebody decided to preview a book I was going to read to make sure it was safe for me. And that annoyed me greatly, so I would not want to do that to anybody else. Pixie says, thank you. Have fan-fairy-tastic week. Thank you. Leah says, I'm happy it was earlier today. It's 11:30 p.m. Good. Our time changed and yours didn't. Yay. I guess. Or whatever. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for this inspiring chat. Ian says, bye, everyone. Thanks for your wonderful presence here. Sorry, Beth, about accidentally kicking you out. I will find a way to get you back. Melissa says, bye. Okay, guys.
It's a timeout for 72 hours. So.
Oh, all right. Well, that means next week she'll be back.
Yeah. But...
Okay. Teresa says, blessed be. Okay, guys.